Alright, so this is the turbo build. Basically what I'm going to do with this build is use all those spare parts I have laying around and try to get some more power out of the stock 5SFE. So let's get started. Alright, got the car up in the air, so we gotta take this panel out. Gonna get that out, get the bottom part out, and then a little better access to the exhaust pipe. Gotta take this cross member out. Hopefully none of these bolts break. Yeah, someone's definitely worked on this before this. Alright, cross member's off. That sucker's tight. As you can see, gives good access to the exhaust. So the exhaust will be the next thing to come off. Alright, here we go. Exhaust is off. The one that's going to be replacing the exhaust is the one closest to me. The only difference is the pre-muffler has been removed. It's got a newer pipe attached to it that changes it to the CT26 downpipe. We're going to remove this protectant cover so you don't burn your hand. We're going to get rid of that. Then remove the bolts around the manifold. Gonna have to also remove the alternator. I got the alternator off. It was just a 14mm bolt right there, and then the rest are 12mm bolts there. And there's the connector. Those old connectors, make sure you're careful with them. So here's the manifold with the catalytic converter. I went ahead and took the oxygen sensor out. Notice that one of the studs is missing for the manifold. That's kind of an issue. All right, well, I'm gonna pull this manifold off and be back in a minute. All right, manifold's off. That was a pain. These bolts or nuts did not want to come out. They were on there pretty good, and I really didn't want a chance snapping them. So I went ahead and got the torch out, heated them up. Came off really easily after that. Heat is an amazing thing. So I test fitted the manifold, and at this point I can't even stick it on to show you guys. This is in the way. The cooling fan is in the way. All right, so I removed the battery, moved the fuse block. I also got rid of the cooling fan, so all that should be out of the way. And then as far as this, I drilled the spot welds out and chiseled it out. I need to cut this lip right here because it's actually hitting the turbo still. I'll get that modified, and hopefully it all fits good. All right, so we're getting there. I got the turbo on. It's still hitting the wastegate. Even with the modifications I made, it's very close to the oil filter. Another option is to relocate the oil filter. It's close to the AC compressor. I'm gonna have to modify the dipstick tube a tad bit that way it clears the manifold or the downpipe. Everything looks like it's gonna mount up well. I gotta figure out what I'm doing with this wastegate actuator. I'm gonna have to get creative with that. Oh, another thing is, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's that shield for the hoses for the oil filter cooler, oil cooler. I do believe I will be able to use that, but I'm gonna have to take a little bit of the material off right there at the flange for the downpipe, but it should work. I think it's gonna work. Got a few parts modified. Coolant line was just simply, I just took a really flat chisel, but I just gently massaged it so it cleared the actuator. And as far as this, I went ahead and cut it out. Should give it pretty good clearance from the downpipe. So the next part I gotta do is get this to fit. Now this hits here, so I'm gonna have to massage that out of the way. Basically what that is the bracket for the turbocharger. So it supports the turbo, so all the weight isn't on just the turbo manifold. to prevent it from cracking and distorting. So just got back from the store, bought a few parts. I got myself a Fel Pro oil pan gasket, got a 12-inch radiator, electric radiator fan to replace the bulky factory one. I picked up a 94 Celica upper radiator hose, have a 3-inch to 3-inch silicone adapter for the intake of the turbocharger. Got a stud for the exhaust manifold, so I am going to need to helicoil it and insert a new stud. Alright, so I have the turbocharger installed. It's installed on the bracket. I just fitted the downpipe. I had to adjust the oil dipstick tube a little bit to the left. It looks like everything's going to fit under here now. So I think it's time to remove this cross member with the motor mounts. Remove the oil pan. Alright, so I got the cross member removed. I have the oil pan nuts and bolts removed. Pretty much it's ready for the oil pan to come out. Alright, I got the oil pan cleaned up. Just got a Fel Pro black gasket on there, ready to go on. Well, here we are. I think I'm done for tonight. This was enough for one day. Turbo's in. All the clearances have been dealt with. Oil return and oil feed I gotta figure out. So I'm gonna get this on. Once this is on, I'm going to make my return line. And once the return line is made, I'm gonna put the downpipe on and the cross member, and then make the pressure feed zone. I think I'm gonna need a 90-degree fitting there and actually route the oil line up and over that way. For the oil return, I'm gonna have to modify the CT26 original oil return. All right, so here it is. What I did was I took the factory 3SGTE oil return pipe. It fits around the turbo bracket, which is right here. So all this is factory. I ended up cutting it at the right at the flange, and then cut it right there. And then to connect the turbo to the oil return, I just have a piece of 90-degree molded rubber hose and connected that way. So I think that should work out pretty good. Next thing I'm going to work on is oil feed. So got to pull off everything I just did, crimp those, and then crimp the one on the other side. I'm also going to tackle the cold air intake for the turbochargers. I got the oil feed line made up. So it's just a 1/4 inch or 1/4 -4 hose. Got it going to this fitting right here. Everything's been Teflon taped up, so everything should seal. The intake made for the turbo. So it's just a 3-inch 90-degree pipe. So I'm going to thread this on, and then I'm going to put the downpipe back on, put the exhaust back on, and I think everything should be done on the bottom side of the car. I just got to finish the coolant for the turbo, replace the upper radiator hose, and then of course make the turbo charge pipes. Alright, here we go. I got the turbo installed. Let's better look at that cold air intake for the turbo. Have the factory heat shield on. The alternator's back in place, tensioned up. O2 sensor's in place. I gotta wire it in. Manifold, down turbo, downpipe, heat shields all in. So hopefully I'll get all the coolant stuff done. Radiator hose, turbo coolant. Let's see. And that's really all I have to do for the coolant. Just got done with the radiator hose. So as you can see, it's now a straight hose. Instead of having a huge hump in it, it contours to all the stuff inside the engine bay pretty well. So it goes over the turbo pipe and pretty much stays out of everything's way. Alright, so here's the underbody shot of the car. There's cold air intake. As you can see, it's pretty low. Should make it good for sucking up some water. But anyways, yeah, that's the intake. Got the exhaust coming down here. And then got the full exhaust all the way out to the back. So it's just a Flowmaster single outlet chambered muffler. This thing sucks. What this is the coolant line that goes from the throttle body to the coolant system. So it goes from the coolant to the throttle body back to the water pump. So finally got that thing out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run the original cooling system in series with the turbocharger. So it's gonna go from the supplied coolant to the turbocharger to the throttle body back to the water pump. So it's gonna cycle that way. It's time to put this new hose in. So let's get that done. Basically, I just need to get this turbocharger pipe done. So with the combination of aluminum pieces, I should be able to TIG weld something up. I'm also just trying to make this look as clean as possible. Even though this might be temporary, I'm not running an intercooler right now. I might play around with water injection if it gets too hot. I think that's the general direction I'm going to want to go. I think it lines up pretty good. Probably raise it up a little bit. Tape's a good tool for mocking up parts to get an idea of which way it's going to go and what part you need to make next, or if you need to make any adjustments. So, and once all the parts are taped up, I'll bring it over to the welding table and TIG it up, and should work out good. So that's the first piece. So next step is going to be going from here to there, and I got to figure out what kind of bend I'm going to have to make for that. Alright, I got my pipe coming from the turbo built, or mocked up. This is what I normally do to see if there's any hood clearance issues. I'll take a piece of tape, lay it upwards so that the sticky side is facing the hood, and then just basically take the hood, close it like normal, and if there's enough clearance, then the tape should be still sticking to the pipe. So it looks like that's gonna work. So I need to make a piece of pipe to fill this gap. I need to cut that end off and fit in another piece of pipe and mock everything up, and it should be ready to TIG weld it. Alright, so I'm on the other side of the shop. I just got done tack welding this piece and test fitting it. So it looks like it's fitting well on the car. So I guess the next part I'm going to tack weld is up by the throttle body. So it's coming along. So let me grab the other piece and get it tack welded. So I got that part tack welded up. That's the part for the throttle body, part from the turbo. So the next thing we're going to do is tack weld it like that. And then I'll do the piece at the end. Alright, here it is. It's done. Finished up welding this pipe. Go ahead and cleaned it up and put it back on. Everything's ready to go. So that's it though.